Hi friends, it's Peggy Noe from PrettyPaperCards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today's video tutorial is one in my series of the basics of how to stamp and how to use various Stampin' Up! Products. And one of the huge basics that you need when stamping is ink. So today we're going to talk about Stampin' Up! Ink pads and how to use them and how they work. So Stampin' Up!, the basic ink pad is called the Classic Stampin' Pad, and I have 3 of those right here in front of me. They come in all the various colors. We're going to look at that here in just a minute. They're plastic. They have a plastic case rather, and they have the color on the front. Now let's take a look at the annual catalog and look at all the beautiful colors that these ink pads come in. This is the 2022-2023 annual catalog, but in any of our yearly catalogs, the ink collections, the color collections, and that's what these pages are called, they are found toward the back of the book. And this, on pages 122 and 123 of this year's annual catalog, you will see our color collections. We have in colors, and then we have 4 standard groups. One is the Brights collection, one is the Neutrals collection up here, the Regals collection, and the Subtles collection. And in any one of these collections and these sections here, it shows the products that we have that come in our beautiful colors. We have cardstock. We have the Classic Stampin' Pad. We have the Classic Stampin' Ink Refill, which I will talk about. And we have the Stampin' Blends Combo Packs. Those are our alcohol markers. So in order to find the Stampin' Pads, you'll be on this line here, and this is the item number, and these are all the colors. So if you wanted, for example, to get a Cherry Cobbler colored ink pad, you would look under Cherry Cobbler and you would look on this line, Classic Stampin' Pad, and there's your item number, and you would place that on your order. But let's now go back and look at the actual pads. I wanted to show you where to find them in the catalog. These are the pads. They come, I have one brand new one that I waited to open with you. They come wrapped in plastic like this. That keeps them safe while they travel. And we're just going to open this up. We're going to open the plastic up and see what we've got. I'm pretending to be you, as if you're opening your Classic Stampin' Pad for the first time. And I did that for the first time many years ago, over 10 years ago. And I have loved these Stampin' Pads ever since because of the beautiful colors and the way they stamp. So you might wonder, how do we open the stamp pad? Well, there are 2 ways. One I find much easier, and you look here on the front and there's a little kind of a little inset area, and I put my fingernail in there and open it like a compact, and I just pop that right up like that, and your stamp pad opens. Now, some people open it from the back and press on the 2 sides back here. It's hard for me to do and sometimes pops out of my hands, but I'll try it and see if I can get it. Okay, that's kind of hard. I think it's, there we go. And it popped open. Let's try it again. Press back here on both sides, way at the back, one on each side, and it'll pop open for you. Okay, I prefer the compact method. It opens like this, and what you're going to want to do is push this into the base so that you have a real sturdy base for putting your stamp on and getting the ink on the stamp. Now, we're not going to do that today. That will be another video, but I wanted to show you about the stamp pad. Now, to close it up, you see this part right here. It has an indent, and you just pull this, and if you need to, you can push a little bit from the back, slide, and close like that. We'll try it one more time. Open, and press in. If you don't press in, what happens is you're stamping and this is not flat. Do you see what I mean? You see how it would not be flat? And you may not get good coverage of ink on your stamp. So you always want to press your ink tray into the base like that. And then to close it, you turn around, grab this little edge where the indentation is, pull it out, and click it back into the base. And it has a nice click so you know it's in. Now, a couple of things that a lot of people don't know about is that on the back of the stamp pad is a set of labels right here. Now, Stampin' Up! Is an international company, and so they produce their stamp pads and other products in various other languages. So there are a couple other languages on there, but there's also English, which is, since I live in America, I read English. And so what I'm going to do, you can use your fingernail, and I have where this little tiny, you see that little yellow arrow? Well, because this is crushed curry, I think. The color we're working with today, the pad is crushed curry, one of our beautiful yellows. And what I do is take a little pair of scissors, and I just get this label thing to lift up like that. And it'll lift up. Now, sometimes it pulls all the labels and sometimes it doesn't. So this time it did not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and take the little one that says crushed curry, and I'm just going to pull that little label up like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is the front of the stamp pad, on the front edge under the little indentation where you're going to open. And this label fits right in there, and it says crushed curry. And that's so that if you have your stamp pad like this, say, but in a stack, you can read what the color is, crushed curry. Now, another interesting little thing, and let me just say, these other languages, you don't need to, but I just usually pull those up and off and get rid of those. And then there's a plain label, and many people don't know what to do with that plain label. And what you do with that, you open your pad, and let's press it in, turn it around, and right in here, in that indentation area, is where you put this plain label. And the thing about that is that shows you, you just drop it down in there, and it'll stick right in. And what that does is that shows you a little picture of the color of your ink. Because, for example, this looks like a brown, doesn't it? But when you stamp it, it comes out in this kind of deep yellow called crushed curry. So when you look at that little label that it doesn't have any writing, but it's plain, you think, oh yes, that's crushed curry, it's not brown. So you'll want to put that little label in there, and then we're going to close our pad up just like that. Now, as I mentioned, they do stack together. They have little teeny tiny little feet and a little kind of a little hole there for the feet. So you can see that they do stack together real nicely. Oh, I have one backward. No, oh, you know what? That's right. I just got this pad. This is pumpkin pie. And I did not do my labels on this one. So let's go ahead, since I'm with you here. Let's go ahead and put our labels on for this one. Okay. Now I'm going to grab that pumpkin pie. That's the name of this particular one. And I'm going to put that right on the front like we did on the other one. Just like that. And it's amazing. It sticks kind of like forever. Now, the three other languages did not come off. I'm going to just get those off right now. Although, you know, who's going to see it? So you don't necessarily have to. But my plain label stayed over here on the big plastic that came off. And so I do want to put this plain one on the inside. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's turn this around. And like we mentioned on the other one, I'm just going to drop that right in there. And it's just going to drop in. Sometimes you have to just direct it a little bit. I'm going to use my scissors to pull that up because I don't want to get my fingers all inky. although they might get inky. You know, we're stampers, and so stampers can have inky fingers. It's quite all right. So there we go. So we'll just stick that in there, and that way I know that's pumpkin pie. And again, that looks very dark brown too, doesn't it? Oh, I did get ink on my fingers. Okay, I'll just get that off. It's part of being a stamper. So then we'll close this pad up. Okay, now what I was actually showing you was that they stack together, which is very nice. And because you put your labels on, there we have our colors. That's kind of a pretty color combination too, isn't it? It really is. We also have storage for your ink pads. I will bring up my catalog again and show you. I have in my room, I have my storage. It's on the page right after the ink pads, and this is what it all looks like if you want to get that many storage containers. But basically it's this one right here on page 124, ink pad and marker storage. It also holds the coordinating color marker, and you get a stacker of 5 white plastic, and it's right down here if you wanted to, if you have enough that you want to get that stacker. Now, the one question I have people ask me frequently is, how do I re-ink my stamp pad? They do, because of the nice tight closure, they do last a really long time. But after maybe a year or so, depending on how much you use it, I use mine a lot, and sometimes it could be after 6 months or 3 months that I need to re-ink my ink pad. And to re-ink it, what you want to do is open your pad. This is Pool Party, one of our beautiful blues. And what you'll want to get is our classic Stampin' Ink refill. They have one for every single color, and it's right underneath the ink on those pages in the annual catalog that I showed you. So it's easy to find. Many people get a re-inker or the ink refill when they purchase the pad for the first time. That way you don't have to go back and get one. And you can use the ink refill for watercoloring and other things too. Okay, so I have the Pool Party. It says Pool Party right here. I have the Pool Party re-inker, and I have my pad. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the lid off, and I'm going to take my re-inker, and I'm just going to go up and down just like this to get, and I'm pressing pretty firmly on the bottle. It's a plastic bottle. And then I'm going to go up and down like this. And this is going to add that ink. You don't need to put the whole bottle's worth. That would be maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of the bottle. There's a lot of ink in there. And then to spread it around, you can use the back of a plastic spoon. You want to be careful because anything it gets on will probably be stained. Excuse me. But this is an old Starbucks credit card that I thought was cute, or gift card. So I'm just going to take this card, and I'm just going to rub that ink in just like that, kind of just like that, to get it really to go in. And you see how it's sinking down. My pad really needed to be re-inked. I think I might even add a bit more. I'm going to go ahead and set my credit card right on my tissue there, and I'm going to add some more ink because I do use this quite a bit, and I want to make sure it has plenty of ink on it. So I'm going to add more. Okay, I think that's going to be good. And now let's do it again. And just keep doing that so it smooths through, it sinks down into the pad. Okay, now we're done. I'm going to wipe off my little, call it a credit card, it's a gift card. And now we're going to close our ink pad. And now normally, if you'll watch, okay, when the pad is here, and when we turn it over like this and click it, we know the pad is up top, so the ink is coming downward to the top of the pad like this. In this case, normally that's what you want because you want the ink to be at the top of your pad when you are ready to use it. But in this case, we want the ink to sink down into the pad. So for a day or so, I'm going to store that ink pad on its top like that, so that because the ink pad is on this bottom side, actually top, so I'm going to turn it upside down so that the ink sinks down into the pad, and then it'll be good to go, ready to use. I mean, I've used it right away in classes that I've had. I've re-inked and used it, no problem. But since I put quite a bit in there, I want to make sure it sinks down into my pad, so that's why I'm going to store that like that. Okay, there you go. Now you've had a little lesson on how to use and open and re-ink the beautiful Stampin' Up! Ink pads. I hope this made sense to you. If you have any questions, you can always email me at peggy@prettypapercards.com. And I thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, I would so appreciate you subscribing to my channel. It's right there on YouTube, and you can just click subscribe. Okay, come back for another in the basics series, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.